Fraud is an ongoing situation that has been a thorn in many people's backsides for a long time, and it involves so many things, including identity and all sorts of stuff. And it can range from plenty of things, and it's that the person is not is based on a sort of fantasy and based on something that is outmoded and other things. But if you're overtrained or well trained and you have your references in order, then it is a lot harder for those types of people to take advantage of you because you know the obvious. And it can also be very intimidating because the lessons that are learned goes against those that are ripping you off or those that are attempting to throw you under the bus and or train or whatever, because they cannot deal with the mere fact that you know something that they don't know. And that is why it's easier to get references and to learn the skills manually than to learn the skills on a computer, because sometimes computers can be changed and programming can be changed or altered or doctored up or whatever it is that is done. And this way it prevents people from trying to change stuff without you knowing about it. And that is why it's always important to learn your job skills on hands than otherwise, because there's no way to make up a story about somebody and to lie about somebody or to completely bend the truth or to twist the truth. And that is why it's very frustrating to scam artists and fraudsters, because they cannot deal with that or deal with the truth or deal with what is considered the obvious. Because when you tell the truth and you tell more than that, they cannot deal with the truth, let alone what is considered that factor, because it's the obvious. And having your references in order and everything else precludes the fact of what they are based on. A fraudster has no way of continuously telling the truth. They are based on telling lies and telling up stories. And that is what is throughout their web of deception and their made-up stories and stuff like that. But if you have your references in order and your job skills in order, and you've cross-trained and you've learned and you've created something, then it's a lot better than putting it on a computer. Because a computer and technology is a great piece of equipment, but if you're not actually physically trained to work those departments or whatever, it's a lot easier for you to tell a story or a lie or make up a few stories. And that way people can change those stories. But the way to prevent people from changing those stories is to physically train and learn in the department the old-fashioned way, and to earn those skills the old-fashioned way, and to earn the experience the old-fashioned way instead of doing it any other way, shape, or form, because that will give the fraudster or the person that commits fraud the rope to hang themselves, because they're not able to handle that situation, let alone being able to create a viable situation to look on the programming of a computer and try to take the information off of there, or to try to steal the information. And this way, their way of doing stuff will go right back in their faces and blow right up in their faces, because they're not able to deal with that reality or the obvious, or vice versa. And this is a word of thumb concerning scam artists. The only thing scam artists are going to get is a good long time in jail or prison, or vice versa, if they keep using the programs in an incorrect sense. Because what's going to happen is they're going to be figured out or considered, and they will be the ones that will be angry and upset and furious by their own actions, because it will blow right up in their faces, and it will personally go right back on them. Because any deception is like the wrong type of situation, because sooner or later it will add up to being considered deception. And telling the truth is a lot easier than telling lies, because then you can figure out why you're telling lies and what the reasons are. Because if you tell a lie and you make up a whole load of stories, you're going to find out that those stories are easier. It's a lot easier to tell the truth the first time than to tell a whole bankload of lies and a network of lies, because sooner or later that's going to come back on you, and it's going to be harder for you to figure out what you told those stories about. That's why people that commit fraud will never figure out how to erase those lies and erase all the deception and erase all that, because they have perpetually scammed people, stolen from people, and just threw people under the bus every step of the way, or threw people under a train or something. So it's going to come back on them, and it's going to be an added situation. And they will not be able to get themselves out of it until they have learned that, and they'll never learn how to be honest, because a scam artist or con artist is based on fraud and based on deception and based on stealing and theft and every other dang thing. And they hadn't learned when they were growing up that they cannot do that type of stuff and continue to get away with that type of stuff all the time. Because this is my word of thumb and my advice to those types of people, that they will never change. And it's no worse than doing drugs or alcohol or whatever that they do, because they have a disease which is really bad, and it's the type of disease that is not noticed. Scamming people and committing fraud and other things, that is a disease that is considered the worst type of disease a person could have, is dishonesty and fraud and lying and deception and stealing, or scamming people and taking advantage of people and stuff like that without them knowing about it. And and all that type of stuff around a computer and technology and within any community, and that's not good. And it's very important to be truthful and, above all, above board when making something or building something or giving out information on something, and making sure that that information is genuine and above board and all that concerning these matters. And it doesn't matter how much or how little that is considered, because when I grew up, you just didn't make up a whole bankload of stories, and you do not lie to people, and you do not take advantage of people either, because it's going to look pretty dumb or stupid when it shows up on your job application, or it shows up on something, or the apartment you're moving into, or the house that you're going to buy or purchase or whatever, because sooner or later somebody is going to look at that and they'll turn around and they'll probably call the police on you or call the law enforcement or the authorities on you for doing it. And that sooner or later is going to be more sooner than later, which and that's why I think the people that are scamming other people and doing all this other stuff is considered that, and so forth, and raising rents and doing all that crap is based on fraud, and raising the property values to the moon when there are people that are not able to afford the rent or the situation in their area. That's considered, in my book, fraud. Property fraud, land fraud, and other types of fraud. And it is no more or no less than just trying to one-up somebody on anything. And that's the scary situation. But it is far more than that. That we have to realize that we cannot live that way, and we need to put these people away for a good long time that are doing it, and make sure that they don't commit these crimes anymore, and vice versa, and to make sure that the stuff that they put out is genuine, most of all. And thank you, and I'll talk at you a little later. Good evening.